Metaverse friends, and welcome to another exciting episode of MetaverseXpress Full Stop. I'm your host, Mona, and as always, we're here to bring you the hottest topics in the Metaverse with expert insights from our special guests. And speaking of special guests, I am so excited to have my friend Christina on the show today. She's the host of her own podcast, The Fit Beauty Report. See, I said it right. And she also is the founder of her own magazine, Women's Technology Magazine, that is. A very busy boss babe, to say the least. I'm just so glad she was able to make the time to be here with us today. Christina, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you.
Yes, thank you so much, Mona. I appreciate it, and I'm so happy to be here.
I mean, we finally made it happen. We met at NFT NYC, and I just remember you had this magazine in your hand, and I was running around like crazy, and I never got the second to say, "What is this magazine about?" All I had a chance to do was, "Can I have your business card? Because I'm going to call you." And here we are.
Yes, I know it. Yeah, I take that magazine everywhere with me. I have everyone take photos with me. I let people know about it and let them know that we're highlighting women. We're here to, bring stories of women in tech who are, making waves and really trailblazing, setting, this new way of women empowerment in the technology field, that not many years ago, it was not really seen, not very heard, not very much visibility. And also doing it with in a way that appeals to a woman's personality, a woman's, a psychologically issues that are only affecting women, that only a woman could talk about, relate with, that is related to tech and other industries, that most tech magazines are written in a form where it's just tech and it's very, man oriented.
Absolutely. And I remember when I started in this space about a few years ago, there weren't many women, but so many more women ran projects and projects that were initiated by women now in the past year. So it's really exciting to see that, because Web3 is very community driven. And I think women are creatives, and Web3 caters to creativity and content ownership. And so I think it really has a lot of opportunities for women. And I'm going to bring you back, and we're going to have a woman episode, because I do want mainstream women who find this space intimidating to know that there are lower barrier to entries. That's for a different episode. Today's episode, however, we're going to focus on your project, because I want you to introduce your magazine to my audience. But I also want to talk to you about a topic that I have actually never talked about on my channel, and that's the intersection of fashion, beauty with Web3 technologies. We're seeing more and more beauty and fashion brands come into the metaverse and in Web3. So those are some topics that I'm so excited to talk to you about. But before we start on all of that, I want to give you an opportunity to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and how you got into Web3.
Yeah, so I started from my podcast, which is called The Fit Beauty Report. And after the pandemic, I began to report on industry news that related to the beauty industry. Since many of the beauty industry is very hush hush, and we don't share data, don't share information. However, during that time in the pandemic, the floodgates of data and information opened for a short period of time, but I was there. And so during that time, I went to all of the webinars with WWD, Beauty Matter, and there was Glossy and so many other industry leaders who have these webinars and all of these different education seminars that you can attend online. And it was all free during the pandemic for a short time. So I was there.
Short
And then
time.
when I was doing,
Short time is the
yeah,
key word.
yeah, it was very short. It was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, about 2 weeks. And then right after that, I went to my podcast, started it, and I started reporting, and it has just taken off and grown from there to listen to in over 25 different countries all over the world. And we're in the top tech news category. We focus mainly on beauty and fashion. We interview any of the fashion designers who are actually using Metaverse or Web3 technologies, NFTs in their actual fashion designs, and just what tech is doing in the actual beauty and fashion space. So from there, I decided I have all this content. What can I do with all this content? Why not turn it into a magazine? And so I decided to take all of that content, all of that information. I had no writers at that time. It was just me. So I basically wrote 12 articles and just put it together. I hired a graphic designer who actually designed my magazine. And that was the first issue that I released back in 2013. And then, no, wait, not 2013, I'm sorry, 2022. And we've been in publication for a whole year, and this is our second year. And so now we've actually joined forces, partnered with a luxury crypto magazine. And this luxury crypto magazine called Laps of Lux is our distributor, and we will be partnering with them. So you actually get a 2-for-1, like a deluxe combo with men, because crypto luxury is more for men, and beauty and tech is like the women's side of tech.
Well, I want to ask you, because some would say magazine is very Web 2, guys. Now, how are we incorporating in this magazine into Web 3? Are there any memberships, NFT opportunities? What are your, which direction are you going with the magazine when it comes to Web 3?
Yeah, so actually when I was learning about Web3, I interviewed women founders during Women's History Month that were NFT founders. That's when I discovered Web3, and I started looking into it, and I started researching it, and I actually turned the cover of the actual founder of Beauty Technology, who's the founder for Perfect Corp. She's the first beauty technology woman founder to go to the New York Stock Exchange. She's on the cover, and I actually minted that. So it turned into
cool.
an NFT. So it's there as an NFT. So we are actually an official NFT. We have not distributed the NFT just yet, but we will. And then we are also actually going in the direction of turning beauty and tech into a DAO, so that we can have our members contribute to our actual content creation and ownership of what they want to contribute to be a part of beauty and tech online and on Web3.
Yes, I mean, this was the topic I spoke at NFT NYC, this next iteration of journalism in Web3. What does that look like? And one of the subtopics that we addressed was incorporating DAOs into that model. Fascinating topic. Would love to talk to you on that too. See, I'm creating a list for us. You just don't know it. You're just going to have to keep coming back, and we're going to hit these topics for our viewers. But bringing it back to your magazine, I do want to ask you, I mean, you mentioned some of the topics that you cover in the magazine. What are some trending topics that are happening right now with folks, and topics that people want to learn more about, especially the mainstream audience?
Definitely Metaverse, and beauty in the Metaverse, fashion in the Metaverse. As we saw, the major brands, Estee Lauder, Clinique, have, actually been in the Metaverse, built a store in the Metaverse, invited consumers into the Metaverse. But then they also make it where you purchase on Web 2. So we go back to Web 2 out of the Metaverse. But there's just so much more to be developed and designed and actually innovated in this actual space for beauty and fashion. We got to see the actual sustainability in fashion for Metaverse and through digital garments, digital. And so that's really important. It also lowers the barrier for smaller designers who may not have that great funding, big funding to be able to fund their first line of designs. They can do it at lower cost through digital designs and not having to waste as much material on their actual fashion designs, but instead they're able to create them through digital try-ons and having an actual consumer who wants to purchase them, try them on that way, and it's fit to size. And so there's no extra waste of actual garments.
Very interesting, which actually brings me to a point that I wanted to talk to you about. We're seeing a lot of brands enter the metaverse, right? When we look at how we interacted with those brands over the years, over decades since we were little kids, it all started very physical and one-on-one. I remember being in high school and going to Clinique with my mom and, putting the makeup on right then and there, right? And then the social media came along and we started shopping everything on Instagram down to our lipsticks and brushes, right? And now here we are in this next iteration of the internet. And again, that relationship with our favorite brands is changing once again. I want to hear your feedback, your opinion, and your insights on how you see this Web3 technology impacting fashion and beauty industry today from its inception.
Yeah, it definitely has gone from a non-virtual to a virtual person, pretty much more like making it personable to completely personable through virtual try-ons and through trying on without touch and a lot more sustainability because of the fact that there's less waste for trying on lipstick colors of what it would look like on your skin. And we definitely are seeing skin analysis coming into play with for your skincare and trying on or not trying on, but actually getting to see what type of skin you have so that they can recommend those products for you to purchase, for you to buy. So this has also changed how doctors, how beauty counter assistants in Sephora or even at Ulta are able to help you exactly with what your skin is without really them having the cosmetology, but more of like the technology and the tools to help with making better recommendations that are more personable for someone to purchase.
Yeah, which reminds me of activations, and I'm going to ask you to explain activations to our viewers. But more and more, as I spend more time in Decentraland, and the past 3 years, Decentraland Fashion Week has hosted beauty activations. Estee Lauder was one that I saw year after year, and it's very neat. Introduce this concept of activations to our viewers. What is an activation? We can use Estee Lauder as an example. And then what makes it unique? What are brands offering through these activations that are very unique in Web3?
Yeah, so the brand activations for me have been a way for the consumer to learn more about the next generation of the internet and for them to really experience what that is going to be like. Brands are still also learning themselves. They're also trying to figure it out as we're building what that experience is truly going to be like. Estee Lauder has done a great job. They are definitely taking the lead to, have these beauty brand activations inside of Decentraland. But I think that it still is not where it can be. I think it needs to it will evolve from what it is right now. We definitely are going to see it evolve and change year after year. They're doing a great job at leading. There's still a lot more innovation to be made with these beauty brands, making it more personal for us. And also too, it's really all about identity. We're going to start seeing identity through the beauty brand activations and through the fashion brand activations as well.
It's interesting because this past Metaverse Fashion Week, I saw a Fendi activation. I think it was Fendi, and it was a treasure hunt. It was so interesting. I was really fascinated because you go into this room and they're showing you, it's kind of like discreet advertising, but you're playing and engaging with the product, right? So they're sending you on this hunt of just finding the purse or whatever it was. And I said to myself, you guys got me. I'm here in this room spending half an hour trying to find the purse so I can get the NFT, right? It is so fascinating because I feel like that's the next iteration of advertising in these digital environments. Is that the direction we're going?
Yes, absolutely. And holographics as well are going to be major, where we'll be able to step into them and we'll be able to purchase. But advertising and making purchases are the main objective of the metaverse and Web3, Web5, Web12.
Right. So there's no longer, well, we might still have signs in our digital streets of advertising, but I think it's looking like it's going to be very immersive and fully engaging. So you can touch it and take it around and play with it. Then they introduced the idea of a phygital, right? So if you get the NFT here of our Fendi new release, which is only available to our Metaverse Decentraland players or customers or whatever, then you also get to have the physical version sent to you, right? So this idea of phygitals is very new here as well.
Yes, and that's because people are still wanting to have something physical. So they know this. And so it's making a lot of sense as well. Even if a founder creates an NFT that's a handbag. So for example, like the diamond handbags NFT, their designs are so beautiful. I think it's the team from Foot Locker, team members from the Fabricante. And so it's just different team members who are creating these NFTs. And so they've had a demand for the actual product. And so now they're actually releasing a bag with that actual NFT. So it's the demand that comes with with the NFT, with the actual metaverse as well.
Just out of curiosity, since we were talking about activations, have you come across an activation that you were just blown away and it was actually very effective for the brand?
I have not.
I did in Decentraland. They had an activation. Tommy Hilfiger had an activation, I believe, where it was all about phygitals. They had a game. It's hard to explain, but it was just so much fun being in this digital environment, playing with all the outfits, trying them on my avatar, and then being able to purchase the physical version as well. So I feel like the most useful activations I've seen so far have been with fashion brands. I'm not sure if you've seen any. I know Nike and Adidas have them as well. I just didn't know if maybe you've seen something that you're like, oh, this is amazing. This works.
Yes, I did. I saw that Decentraland this past the Fashion Week, and it was great. Not many people showed up, but I feel like there's still a little bit more education that needs to be done through educating the consumer about Web3 and the metaverse. But they did a great job at their activation. So I definitely agree. Yes, it was great. We still need a lot more education to get more people into the metaverse as well.
The Decentraland Fashion Week had a whole mall set up. They had a mall. It was like a few floors. And I was thinking to myself, this idea of virtual try-ons might be a thing here, right? Talk to us a little bit more on that. I know there are virtual jewelry solutions. You can actually, I mean, I've tried different outfits on where you can get the physical item as well. Do you think that is what they're going to be promoting most in these digital environments, these try-on solutions?
Yes, it's definitely going to be a lot of AR activations, augmented reality. It's just going to allow us to feel like we are in a another space. And it is going to take us from being in our home to being able to use our phone or any type of camera device from our iPad or our computer to be able to look at the actual object or of a diamond ring, a watch, an earring, a clothing item, a shoe. So it's definitely having not to be in the actual store to our home and where we are from our own phone as an AR activation.
That's fascinating. I mean, that's the direction I see it going as well. How do you think that's going to impact the product itself? I mean, I would think it's only going to make it more popular, right?
Yeah, definitely is. I mean, it's going to very much give detail to every single part of a diamond ring. Something that you wouldn't really like look at in detail, but when they blow it up for you through, using AR, it's very precise in the detail that
Right.
it gives, and you're able to see everything, and it just probably is going to astound you more than if you were to go and look at it in person.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask you. Do you think at some point, because I was going to say, how does it impact us, the consumers? Do you think at some point, why am I going to go to the mall, get in my car, drive to the mall, go to the store, deal with the line at Tiffany's or Gucci or Fendi or whatever these luxury brands are, where I can just right here on my computer enter Decentraland? I hope by then we have a better solution of visually being in that environment and grab a piece of piece of beautiful necklace and look at it just like I could look at it in the physical store. So do you think this is going to affect physical stores at some point?
I think that it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think that the industry is preparing for it. And I think that they know this. So how is it going to impact it? I think that's still to be determined. Nobody really is exactly knowing how that is going to impact it. And then at the same time, it might not impact it because people still want to get out of their homes, still want to be, going to a location, may not like the time that they have to wait in line, but might still like to take that drive
Go to the
downtown.
mall.
Exactly.
Well, I
Yeah.
always say we're building Web3 for not us, but the generation that's behind us, which is Gen Z. And Gen Z is already in the metaverse. They're already spending hours in those environments playing games. So, hey, you never know. They already don't know what a payphone is or a checkbook is. So pretty soon they're not even going to know what a mall is. I'm just kidding. But hey, that could
It might be
be
true. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That very well could be true. But you said something. You said these brands are they know that they have to get on board. Well, it is much easier for big brands like Gucci and Tiffany and so on and so forth to onboard. But I want to ask you about smaller brands. I have a good friend of mine who has a bathing suit line, and I often want to say, get her to onboard and bring her line into Web3 because frankly, we don't have a lot of avatars that are wearing a bathing suit. And
It's true.
it's true. And I've even heard, and you even mentioned it too, that this does boost sales for the physical item. But the truth is, people are very intimidated by this and they don't know how to enter. What is that lower barrier to entry for you? What are your suggestions for new brands, smaller brands who don't have those connections, but they still want to get in? What's the best way for them to do that?
So they're going to have to learn a new skill, which is tech.
Yeah.
And they are going to have to learn how to create online. I feel like for a small designer who's a business owner, she knows they have to make ads, signs, create graphics. So it's just another layer to the graphics and the digital marketing that they have to learn in order for their business to succeed. And so it's just another skill that they're also going to have to learn to work with designing a digital garment, or if not, having to bring someone on who can do the digital garment and create that for them. So it's going to be either a learning curve or hiring someone to do it for them.
Yeah, and I think now they have some intermediaries that help brands as well. A couple of years ago, we didn't really have anyone helping. Everyone was just figuring it out themselves. But I also tell my audience that if you go inside of Decentraland, especially during Metaverse Fashion Week, there are a lot of people in there who are willing to help brands. I know, and I try to bring those people on the show and let the mainstream friends and families and audience to know that, hey, you can reach out to this person who's always in Decentraland and they can help you in that area. But I think that's the direction we're going. And a lot of brands need to start paying attention to this next iteration of advertising and how you're going to promote yourself and your brand as well. I'm sure you see a lot of that and talk about that in your magazine as well, right?
We definitely do. We include those stories. That is definitely how the fashion designers are going to come for the future. The future is already here. The future is now. And if you're not learning the skill, you should. Some are very late to the game. Some are still late. Fashion shows are still very late. So Digital Fashion Week has done a great job at being able to merge both, the digital and the physical. And I think that the fashion shows themselves are still not there yet, but I think that it's also a learning curve for many people.
Yeah, I mean, we always say we're way early still, but what's different between Web3 and Web2 is the community. I always say it. Web2 did not have the community Web3 has. And that's why it's making it so appealing to a wider audience, people who have certain skills to come and say, you know what, I want to be a part of this community. And everyone is willing to teach as well. It's just that we're really early, but it's really exciting to see the direction it's taking. Where are you seeing engagement and new audiences with brands when it comes to this next iteration of the internet and Web3?
The audience that I see is definitely Gen Z. Gen Z is a digital era. They are, and then the generations that come after them, they are on their phones. They were raised with YouTube. They're very social. They care about their social status, and social is a big part of their life. Even if some, older generations might not agree and say it's detrimental, but they just have different options. And I believe that. And their options are no longer what, traditional school options were for our parents. And so the audience that is changing and it is evolving. And I feel like the brands activations in the metaverse is doing great by starting there, so that generation who's already very digitally inclined is able to just go right in with no hesitation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like engagement. That's what we're going to see in this next iteration of Internet Web3, being able to engage in those environments, engage with your fans, engage with the artists, engage with the film, engage with the music. It is all about engagement. The time to get in is now. Christina, you are awesome, and I love all your efforts in this space. I want to know, and I said it earlier, I haven't listened to your podcast. Shame, shame, shame. But if people want to learn more about the metaverse and some of the topics you cover, give them the information for the podcast and tell them some of the topics that they should be expecting in the coming months that they can learn from.
Yeah, definitely. You can check out the Fitbit report. It's on Google Play, Apple, and also Spotify. Anywhere you listen to your podcast. Many topics that we cover are founders in the space that are in beauty, fashion, metaverse, NFTs, and of course, we have a female founder focus. We highlight them as well. And so we are always talking about the trends that are happening through AR and AI that is also now very, very big. And it's beginning to be a whole new segment category that, you know, we didn't touch on before. And yeah, you can find those on our podcast. And the magazine, Beauté and Tech, you can look for it at beautéandtechnologymagazine.com. And our first issue, we are launching it in Ontario, Canada, alongside Laps of Lux, which is the luxury crypto magazine. And so now we will have a combo magazine for men and women.
I love it. I love it. You're going to be a busy woman. You already are a busy woman. But that's how we do it in Web3. Christina, thank you so much. And I'm going to put that information in the notes section for everyone. If you want to reach out to Christina, if you have any questions or you just want to learn from her insight and wealth of knowledge, just be sure to connect with her through those links. Thank you so much, Christina, for coming on the show today and sharing your insight with us. I hope my audience enjoyed learning about your project and also understanding a little bit more how Web3 is really going to transform our experiences, especially with our favorite brands and products. So thank you. And I hope you know that you're always welcome to come back because I have other topics for you.
Yes, thank you so much, Mona, for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And it was so good connecting with you, NFT NYC. And I am looking forward to coming back.
And anytime. I love to have more women on my show. So I promise you many more to come.
Yes, thank you.
Of course. All right, guys, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as I did. We'll be back again next week with more hot topics in the metaverse. Until then, I'm your host, Mona. Stay well.